Yeah, right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Talk to Danielle podcast. I am your host, Danielle C. Baker. And before we get started, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to whichever channel you're listening or watching from. And of course, this is season 4, so I do invite you to have a look at the 3 previous seasons. There may be some topics there that will relate to your reality today. So they are timeless episodes. You can go have a look. And today I have a great guest. I'm so happy I got to meet her because I think we kind of we I feel like we give off the same energy in terms of the work that we do. We're both in parenting, and when you've been doing it for so long, there's a flow that comes with the work that we do. So I'm just really happy to have Gayathri Vamsi with me today. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm really happy to have you on.
It's my pleasure and privilege to be here, Daniel. So, as you said, I felt so connected to you the first time we connected, and it didn't feel like that was the first conversation I had with you. I'm so looking forward for this conversation.
I am too. And we talked earlier before we started recording is we could have recorded our initial meeting and that would have been an episode on its own. So I just love that. And I also love because we met through LinkedIn, and I have to say that with LinkedIn, I've had some great connections there with the line of work that we do. So it's always a pleasure to meet new people that are in the same kind of have the same mission and same purpose in life. And one of yours is definitely to help you know, make an impact one family at a time, one child at a time. And I think that's just what we really need right now. Because when you work with one family or one child, it's exponential, right? They go out into the community and help everybody else. So before we get started, can you talk to us a little bit about yourself and how you got to
Yeah,
where you are
sure.
today?
Hi, everyone. Lovely to meet you all through Daniel's podcast here today. And my name is Gayathri Vamsi, and I'm basically from India. I'm a mother of almost a 20-year-old and a 15-year-old boys. And as you all know, parenting was not easy. And I had to learn the hard way. And only my pillow knows how many nights I've cried looking for help or not understanding what was right and what was wrong.
Mhm.
And today I'm here as a happy, calm parent, sitting in front of you and spreading the word across to everybody who are listening. And to everyone who wants to listen, you're not alone. So, I am a parenting coach. I do neuroscience, NLP, and intelligence combined, and my own framework as calm, connection, and conscious parenting. And I call it as G3, my name Gayatri, Parenting Simplified.
I love that. And I love how you said the calm, because I think, especially when we're just starting off as parents, we don't feel so calm. And then when we think we have it right, we have another child, and that child is completely different and doesn't respond the same way. And so it's like we're starting all over again. And I know that you used to offer, I don't know if you still do offer, parenting without yelling workshops, which is very interesting as well. We've had the opportunity to talk about that, and we teach this, and then we catch ourselves at home doing the exact
Yeah,
thing that we. So it's so. The thing about parenting is it's just real. There's no cookie cutter way of going around it. We are going through as parents, going through our own things, our own stresses, or so we can be reactive. Would you be able to share with you from your experience, what do you think helps parents the most in order to get to that calm, where they can feel like they're a little bit more in control of their reactions and they can get that state of feeling a bit calmer when they're parenting?
so to begin with calm, what I would say is first, lower your expectations.
Mm,
We are not here to be perfect. We are not perfect parents. We are not here to raise perfect children,
yeah.
right? So, lowering our own expectations and understanding that it begins with me. I am in control of this. I'm not in a blame game. I'm not in a power game. I'm not here to win against my children. I'm not here to win against my family. I'm only here to control my reactions, my actions, and my triggers.
Hmm.
Having said that, even if you're not able to, it's okay. Let go. That's
Hmm.
where the first step to move towards calm is my understanding, and my own journey can speak for it.
Yeah, that is so important, especially because as well, as your children grow older, and you mentioned that because now you're in the teens and young adult, uh, their needs change, their personality evolves, their
Every
emotions
day.
change. So you have to readjust. And as a parent, it is your
Yeah,
job to do that, to reconnect and to notice your triggers. I love how you said that because I think that's what sets us off the most is those our children will trigger us every step of the way. They hold a mirror to us to see where the work that we have to do.
true.
And it's so hard as an adult to take that, the pride and ego kind of steps in.
Yeah,
It is so difficult.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, Daniel, like when I was becoming the young mother, right? So I had worked with a lot of children as a tutor, as part of my college, and all that. And I felt like, as you said, the ego, right? The
Yeah.
pride that you take in who you are. I felt, oh, I'm not going to have any challenges. I'm good with children. I'm good with myself. I've done this. I've done that. But boom, when the child arrived, I was totally a different person. I didn't know where I was going wrong. I didn't know what I was doing, right? But only I think that experience of working with children before I became a mother was that I felt something was not right.
Hmm.
But I didn't know what to do, but at least I was self aware to understand okay, something was not feeling good. And that's where the whole story started and changed, and becoming aware was really
Yeah.
really a turning point of my life, I would say.
Yeah, and that is important because I think some of your work that you do as well is where you say that with awareness you can repair a lot better. So when the cycle that you explained, the way you explained it to me, with you have your connection with your child and then something happens, disconnect, and you repair and then you reconnect. And by being aware of what's triggering you and controlling that so you're responsive instead of reactive, it makes it a lot faster to repair the
Yeah.
connection with your child. So it's so important to, do you have any tricks on that, on how to notice if we're noticing that we have these triggers, what can we do with that to move forward? Or how
Yeah.
do you work with the
See,
families you work with?
so first is understanding your trigger, right? So trigger is always from outside,
Mhm.
but how we process that trigger is within us,
Right.
right? So whenever there is a trigger, understand your body, because your physical body tells you a lot about your emotional thoughts, your feelings, your anxiety rises from there. So when you know this is the trigger and you're understanding, you're feeling it in your physical body, take a step back, pause, breathe. Then you go a little slower, instead of reacting that moment, right? When your child is coming in, you know that your child is going to ask for something that you have to say a yes, or you are forced to say a no. Then you can always take a pause, breathe, breathe, breathe. We don't have to become go into zen mode, or the eternal mode, but we can always take a step back, pause, and then think about it, and then give a reply. And
Mhm.
if you can't, you can always tell your child, I will get back on this.
Yeah, that does changes everything. Sometimes we feel like we
Yeah,
need to do something right away, but it's so important because it also teaches the child to be less reactive because they're
yes.
learning from us
And
as well.
in this process, one thing I've realized, the more I started taking time for myself, taking a step back, getting into that mode of thinking, what has taught my children is delayed gratification.
Hmm.
they've learned to wait. They've learned to be like, yes, mom will come back.
Right. I like that. That's so
Right?
important.
Because the
Yeah.
world is going in like, everything is instant, everything. Like, you want food, it's there on your DoorDash, it's there on an app. Just click of a button, everything is delivered, right? So it's not their fault because the world that they are in is designed for instant gratification.
Yeah.
By
It's
default they get that instant gratification. So I feel as parents we need to inculcate as much as possible about delayed gratification.
Yes, it is so important to be able to teach to take that pause. Those pauses are very, very important. And you're right, in the world that we're in right now, there's no time. It's a fraction of a second. We want information, we have it right away. We want to
Yeah,
do something, we have it right away. So yes, the newer generations will have a harder time to understand what it's like to wait a little bit because they have
yeah.
everything ready for them. So
So,
important.
I remember when I was having just one random conversation with my children and I told them I finished college without internet. They were like, you man, they couldn't even believe it. They couldn't for them
Yeah,
to process it was like, oh, it felt like, it's an impossible miracle to happen. So we had to go back and have a conversation how life was before the smartphones arrived, before the internet arrived, when we would literally go to a library, pick hundreds of books together, study, prep your notes accordingly, and then go at give your research papers or answer your question papers during your exams. They're like, mom, really?
they know it's hard to believe it. It's not that long ago either. Things
Yeah,
have happened so quickly because we're talking maybe 20, 30 years ago. For in my case, it was
right.
30 years ago. And even in the programs that we did, we didn't have the softwares that we have now. So we actually had to code our computers to get the data that we wanted to collect. So that was just part. And so yeah, it's so funny. I said that I learned how to code without the internet, and my kids are just like, how would you do that? Like that's not possible. We
Yeah,
had internet, but it's just we had to do everything by hand. We had to put our text in. So it's a whole other world. And to wait for your grade after you handed your papers, you handed your dissertations, and then you had to wait to get. Now they instantly get
yeah.
their grades. So it's a
True.
whole other world. And I think it's important for us. This is what I like to talk to with the parents I work with is by us taking a pause, by us taking time and saying, you know what, I'm a little too flustered. This is a little too much for me. I'm overstimulated. Let's take a pause. I'll get back to you. And it's important to get back to you, but it's teaching us to stop as well, because we are starting to fall into that quick, split
Yeah,
second. We need to, and it feels like we have to uh, give an answer or solve the
yeah,
problem right away. And sometimes you do need that time, and it's so
yeah.
important to get back to that. Yeah.
True. So I always work with calm first.
Yeah.
Any parent who comes to me, it is the first few weeks, I only work on pause, calm, establishing that self-awareness, because that I feel is the puts a very, very strong foundation to the parent you're becoming.
Yeah. I love that. And with the younger children, that's how they learn. They kind
Yeah,
of, it's co-regulation in the early years. They
correct.
piggyback off of our nervous system. So it's
Yeah,
important for us to learn to stay calm and
true,
process so that they're
true.
seeing it and they feed off of that.
Yeah. So when I
Yeah.
was struggling as a young mother, and when I started learning about like, mirror neurons
Hmm.
and, I mean, I don't want to use too many jargons, but the prefrontal cortex and then the response inhibition system in the brain, I was like, yeah, it was like, that eureka moment. Yes, this is what I was missing. And then I slowly
Yeah.
understood it was my emotional regulation that played a huge role in my child's tantrums. So
Yes.
I could connect to the
Yeah.
real challenges that I was facing, and now I'm able to guide the parents I work with. So, first thing, as I said, my framework, it's calm first. And I also talk about the three G's, which is Gayatri, which is
Mhm.
like, gentle.
Yeah.
Gentle with your expectations, gentle with your child expectations, gentle on yourself. And then I talk a lot about grace
Hmm.
for those messy moments. Just because you're taking help from a parenting coach, you're reading, you're improving, doesn't mean that your parenting journey is going to be 100% perfect.
Yeah.
There will be messy days. There will be days you're going to cry. There will be days you're going to scream. But take that grace. It's okay. Learn from that incident and growth.
Mhm.
My third G for those moments and every moment. We are growing every moment. Am I better than my previous day? Am I better than my previous hour? Am I reacting less
Yeah.
than how I used to react earlier?
Yeah. I love that. Grace is so important.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
And it's such a gentle approach. I like your approach because it is human approach. You know, it's not the
True.
superhuman, it's just the human. Yes, we're not going to be
Yeah.
perfect. And even us as parenting coaches, we've talked about this before where we're doing our workshop with parents or with some client, and we come home and we do the complete opposite of what we just
Oh,
told them
yes.
to do.
I
And
can
it's
share
like,
so many of those examples.
I know, right? Like you were saying, even doctors need a doctor sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's where the help is so important. There's so many parents who are not necessarily ashamed to ask, they don't know that they have access to help, or you're supposed to somehow know everything and it's looked as if you ask for help, you're not um, performing your duties as well as you should. And that's one thing that you say, that help makes us stronger as
Oh,
parents. And that's what
yes.
I love about your
See,
approach as well.
I grew up thinking that asking for help is a sign of weakness. I'm not just
Exactly.
talking about in the context of parenting, in
Mhm.
anything, right? But slowly, 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 the moment I realized asking for help is not strength, is not a moment of weakness, it shows my courage.
Right.
I felt so good, and now I can ask for help when I need it. I can delegate my work to my children eh, with chores, with responsibilities, and everything, right? So they also have learned to come forward to help. They also have learned to be accountable and responsible
Hmm.
in the house. So it's been a win-win situation for both of us,
Yeah,
right?
it
And
is.
we are not AIs, right? My brain is not a chat GPT to know everything.
That's right.
So if I ask for help, I'm going to get the help, and that will give me so much of strength and courage to handle my situations. So awareness is the key, asking for help is the key, and unfortunately, parents are blamed but never trained.
That's so true. Yeah,
Right? So
yeah.
any profession that we pick, we all have a degree in that. We are at least we are educated in that. We're trained in that. We have experience in that. But to become parents, it's like boom, we just become parents,
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah.
right?
And
So
we're not.
awareness plays a huge role in the kind of homes you are building.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think it also helps when we see, as parents, sometimes we may see other parents struggling or they might not be handling a situation in the way that we would expect them to. It allows us to be less judgmental, I think,
Yes.
when we are in that state of calm and we understand that
Yeah.
it's not always easy. And we do often sometimes also are not so proud of how we react, but it allows us to not judge other people when they're going through it because we understand what that's
Yes.
like. And I think it's so
See,
important.
the best we could do for the world is being kind.
Hmm.
If not anything, at least just be kind, just offer it's okay, right?
Yeah.
Right. So that's the kind of world that we all aspire to build through our work, because We are creating spaces, we're creating communities where there is no shame, there is no blame, there is no judgment, because we have gone through those.
Yeah, exactly. I think and that's by taking that time to pause and to wait a little bit, we can stop and say, okay, I want to go towards kindness, because when we're reactive, that's when certain comments are said, or, hurtful, and we get so defensive, or
Mm,
somebody would want to offer help, but we take it as an attack or an insult or something, and really it isn't. So
yeah.
is to be able to, yes, to take that breath and just wait. And that kindness, it's free. Kindness is still free. It's not
Yeah.
taxable. It's not. we should be we should be giving more of that. I absolutely love it. I could talk to you forever, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the programs. But before we do that, is there anything, any words of wisdom or anything that you would like to share, let's say for a family that's either a new family, they get new parents, or families that are going, maybe transitioning into the preteens or teen years, and they're not seeing the same child anymore. Do you have any words of wisdom as to how they could approach that? How to make themselves feel a bit more uh, at ease with the situation that they're going through?
Yeah, Daniel, that's so important, right? Like till they're like, 10, 11, they're a different child. They're listening to what we tell them. They're kind of like, understanding. They're like, more S kind of a thing. Suddenly they get into preteens and teens. Everything is changed. Rolling eyes, shutting doors. I don't want to talk to you. You don't know. My friends know better, right?
Yeah.
But one thing I would like to tell parents is that nothing is personal. It's
Mm-hmm.
not against you, right? They are going through a world that seems so different than what they were in, right? They're
Yeah.
figuring out their peers, they're handling bullying, they're handling a world that they didn't know how to. They're constantly negotiating within themselves. They are understanding who they are, their identities, their bodies physiologically. It's
Yeah.
changing, physically it's changing. So when they are going through so much, you become the punching bag,
Mm-hmm.
right?
So true.
So it's okay, let go, don't take it personally. When you are calm, when the child is calm, you can always go and have a connection moment. And that's where my second C comes in, which is connection. So always try to connect with the child through their world. Even if
Mm.
if your teenager is playing a video game, just go sit down next to them, have a conversation about the video game that they are playing. Even if you don't like it, just 5 minutes, try to play with them, ask them to teach you how to play, and that's a moment of connection.
Yeah.
Spending time together doesn't mean that you always have to take those expensive family vacations, all that,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, they are good, I'm not denying, but you can do it at home with, like, just 7 minutes in the morning, 7 minutes after they come back, 7 minutes before they go to bed,
Yeah.
and without any distraction, without your phone notifications. So just with your child. And we have small card games, and we play those card games whenever we are like, if I'm not feeling great with my energy, or if I observe my child is not feeling great with his energy, then we just quickly pull a card game and we play. And that kind of like, eases both of us out. Now we
Mm.
both kind of unconsciously know, oh sorry, consciously know that,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not feeling good, let me play. And what I have observed is play comes very naturally to children. We don't have to teach them to play, right? Even to a 1 year old, to a young adult, we don't have to
Yeah.
teach them how to play. So that's where the connection comes in. And in this journey of helping parents and helping myself and getting better at parenting, what I've understood is connection doesn't mean that those moments of meltdowns are not going to come. They are going
Mhm.
to come. But that's when you will disconnect. You
Yeah.
will, like, you might not like how the way your teenager is talking to you. That moment you might disconnect, but you will go fix the damage, repair it, you'll connect again. But when you're aware, when you're consciously parenting, you know that the frequency reduces, the
Yeah.
velocity reduces, and the fears that you yell at your child reduces. I said so too. I said so,
That's
right?
so true.
That is where these changes come in.
Yeah. And it's so valid. It's how can I say this? So reassuring, I guess I could say, as a parent, when you start notice that you're not as loud as you used to in your responses, or as irritated or
Yeah.
irritable. I mean, they will still get you, but yeah, it's great to see that you're starting to see that it just decreases the times that
Yeah,
where you would escalate.
I think
You're not.
that's what the awareness does to you. That's what the learnings does to you, right? And you are letting it go, bringing it again, letting it go, bringing it again. You're connecting, disconnecting, quickly connecting again, rather than like, sulking for days and
Yeah.
nights, and then you don't know how to go and apologize. Now I can heartfully apologize to my children,
Mhm.
and they have learned that too,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes I snap, or sometimes my child snaps. Within 30 seconds to 1 minute, he comes, Mom, I'm sorry. Or I go
Mm.
say, I'm sorry. And then that connection happens again. There is no grudges, there is no revenge, there's no any sort of negative emotion there. That is
Right.
what the change I see when I've become more aware, when I've learned more about parenting, more about children, more about brains, more about behavior and how to handle those behaviors.
Yeah. And that's why it's so important to, when you're as a parent, to ask for help for parenting coaches. Just speak a lot for so long. So many people were saying, "Why would I go to a parenting coach?" But it's because, like you said, when you see different scenarios within different families, you have a wealth of resources there that can be very helpful for your situation. So asking for that help is great. Oh my goodness, I could keep talking, but can you
Same
talk to us?
here. I'm just loving this conversation, how
I
it is
know.
flowing, and how I am able to go reflect my entire 20-year journey.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? That you're thinking,
Yeah,
wow, we've come a long
yeah.
way. I
So
know.
2016 is when I officially conducted my first parenting workshop. And now
Wow.
it's 10 years, and now the entire 10-year journey is going back. And all those stories that I've heard from my clients, I've heard from other parents, my
Yeah.
own stories are all coming onto the surface, and I can only be grateful.
It's so great. I love to hear that. And it goes by so fast. I mean, 10 years to say, but it just feels like a whole other lifetime, doesn't it? Like when you first
Yeah.
started from where you are today. I love that. Would you be able to share with us some of the programs that you have going on? I mean, if our listeners are interested in learning more about it, can you share a little bit of what it
Sure,
is that
Daniel.
you do?
Thank you so much for asking about it and letting me share with your audience. So I have two workshops coming in end of March and April. One is preteens and teens,
Oh, nice.
and second one is screens and sanity.
I love that. Yes. Oh,
And I
such.
also do a very personalized, customized 90-day parenting reset program. This is one-on-one that I work with parents. So this 90 days, I handhold them every day. So I work on creating that awareness through calm connection and consciousness. And I work with only 5 families in one go. So I don't take,
Yeah.
once I finish the fifth one, I bring in the sixth one. So I work really, really closely, so much so that the first 15 days before I start the actual, once they sign up, the next 15 days, they're going to send me every scenario that happened in their home. What did the child say? What did the parents say? And sometimes I ask for just record the voice and send it to me so I understand the tonality. And I get a lot of information, and then I do a parenting audit. So I sit down with the family for a couple of hours, understand their entire journey, their styles in parenting, then I get all the information, and then we actually begin the 90-day journey. So where we do week on week, week on week working on their awareness and their challenges that they're facing. So I developed the entire program based on the inputs they give me. And then we see that now I have one family who's almost completing the program, and I am so happy to see the changes that they are going through. And the teenager is opening up to parents a lot more than before. But yes, there are still some challenges, but the parents know how to handle those challenges in a better way.
That's right. And it allows them to adjust as a new ones
Yeah.
come through. I like that because there are not a lot of coaches out there that do one-on-one. It requires a lot more time. And
Yeah, Daniel. That's
so
why I take only five parents. So because
yeah,
I touch base with them on a daily, almost daily basis. So I
yeah.
work only with five parents in one go. And then once I finish one parent, then I take a break for a week and then take the next intake.
And that's great because there's many families who would prefer to do one-on-one. They're not necessarily
Yeah,
as
because
comfortable to go
parenting
through.
is not one size fits all. What worked
Exactly.
for my elder one may not work for my younger one because the environment is different, the world is different. Because, see, at least when we were growing up, the world was not changing so rapidly. And
Exactly.
another missing part that I see in today's world as when I grew up as a child is the community.
Hmm.
The
That is
village is
true.
no more.
Yeah, it's so true. And we need community.
Yes.
Even if and that's the thing, we now are led to believe we need to be independent, right? We need to be able to fend for ourselves. But as a, as the a species, I guess I could say, we are community driven and we need that community. But the only difference now, and this is what the same because uh, we get to create our community now. Before it was
Yeah.
just you were in your village, you stay in your village, or you're with your church, you stay with your church, or but now you can go and get the support that you need from anywhere. So
Yeah.
but we have to do it. We have to ask for help. We
Correct.
have to look for it, and a lot of
Yeah.
people don't know. So oh, this is great. How can people reach you? Either a website or email if they're interested to
Yeah.
know more.
Yeah. So I can share my Instagram. So it's called G3 Parenting Simplified. And I'm
Okay.
also there on LinkedIn as Gayathri Vamsi. And we're making some changes with the website and we'll be launching it soon because I moved last year from India to the US. So we're kind of like, tweaking and treat. But one thing I have understood is that parents across the world have similar
Oh yes,
challenges,
so
similar
true.
problems,
Yeah.
and similar apprehensions, right? So I took almost 6 months to settle down when I moved to the US last year. So we moved in Jan 2025 to the US, and I launched my programs only 4 months ago. So,
Okay.
still doing a lot of work on our website to cater to the US clients and changing a lot more on my frameworks because understanding going back to all my case sheets and so that is the
Yeah.
time I had last year because I was not working. So I could go back to the case sheets that I had and change a lot more into my approach into parenting. So the website will be there in another 20-25 days.
Oh, okay, that's good. But that's all right. And then people will, I'll be sure to add your information in the description box so that
Okay.
the listeners
Thank you so
can
much.
refer to it. I really do appreciate you coming on. I do have one last question, and I can't remember if I warned you about it, but I like to finish off with this question and ask my guests, what would you like to be when you grow up?
Okay.
If you want to play along, if you don't want it, it's okay.
Of
I just,
course.
okay,
That's a because I'm a grown up now, I've not thought about it like as much
that's
as
right.
I used to think about it when I was
When we're
studying and
little,
when
but
I was in
we're
college.
still evolving. So
Wow.
this, yeah,
Okay.
that's, I know.
Lovely question. Yes.
The
Mm,
first thing that comes to mind.
yeah. I think I would like to be that person for anybody who needs that shoulder on.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Yeah.
I
And
think
you're doing it
I
already.
always wanted one person to be like that to me, and I want to be that one person for others who really need that.
Yeah, I love that. and that can go so far. Okay, that goes a long way. So I
Yeah.
love that so much.
So I
Thank you.
always believed in one small impact
Mhm.
in one time.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't have that big missions, 1 billion families, 1 million families, or no, one family at a time.
One time. It's a ripple effect. It's just like you start with a little ripple and it just becomes a wave. And I'm the same way. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I do
Thank
appreciate
you.
you playing along. And it's such a pleasure. I honestly, you could come back anytime, whenever you want to. If there's anything new coming on, I'd love to have you back. And I know
Of
that the audience
course,
would
I would
appreciate
love
it.
to
So
know more about you, your work, and if we can work together, collaborate and work together in the future,
yeah,
I would happily do that.
I love that. Absolutely. Thank you again.
Thank
And
you.
for
Thank
everybody
you so
listening and
much.
watching. Yes, it'll be, it's great. And don't forget, yes, I was going to say to the audience, don't forget to follow Gayathri on Instagram and check her out on LinkedIn as well, so you can see her work as well. And don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to whichever channel you're listening or watching from. And until next time, stay safe, stay awesome, and we'll talk soon.